Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify nation, and if you're new here, welcome. In this episode, we're going to look at mitigating attacks with access control lists. We'll be discussing mitigating spoofing attacks, permitting necessary traffic through a firewall, mitigating ICMP attacks, mitigating SNMP attacks, and finally configuring IP access control lists to mitigate attacks. This episode is part of my series on network security. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. IP address spoofing overrides the normal packet creation process by inserting a custom IP address with a different source IP address. There are many well-known IP address classes here that should never be source IP addresses for traffic entering your organization. The serial 000 interface is connected right to the internet. It should never accept inbound packets from several different networks. The first one here is all zeros in the address. That's what we're looking at here, all zeros in the address. Any broadcast addresses. Down here, what we're looking at is our broadcast addresses. Once again, we're denying those addresses. Any local host addresses, we want to deny those. So that's our 127 addresses in the first octet. Also, we want to deny any APIPA, the automatic private IP addressing addresses. That is the 169, and it's not listed right here. That's the 169. Got 254.0.0. Then the wildcard mask would be 0.0.255.255 address. So you shouldn't let any traffic in from there. Also, any of the reserved private IP addresses. That's the 10 dot address, the 172.16 addresses, the 192 addresses. Sorry, the 192.168 addresses. Also, you should not let in any of the IP multicast addresses. That's the 224 addresses. All of those should be denied coming into your network. Those should never be out on the internet. Those should never be allowed into your network. Also, think about your network. Your network has the 192.168.1.0 address range. That should be the only traffic that you allow out of your device. If it has a different network address than that, then that's not one of your devices, so you shouldn't let that out. And down here, we have this access list here, 105, and we're only permitting our 192.168.1.0 network to go into our router. An effective strategy for mitigating attacks is to simply permit only certain types of traffic through a firewall. For example here, you may let DNS, SNMP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, FTP traffic these services through your firewall. You could also allow services like SSH, Simple Network Management Protocol, SNMP, that may have to go through the router depending upon what you are doing. Here we have a network setup. And what we're doing here is we are creating on R1, and we're going to put this inbound on serial 00. So any inbound traffic here, our filter is here, looking at inbound traffic. We're going to permit we're going to permit UDP host traffic from a source any. So anything in our network destined for this host, which is this IP address here, so destined to this host, equal to domain. And so this is our DNS service. Anybody inside of this network over here that's using DNS will be permitted to query this server for DNS. They'll also be allowed to go and use SNMTP. This is mail here. And they'll also be allowed to use FTP. So anybody in this network, they can reach all the way to this server for those three protocols. Also, what we will do here is we're going to permit some protocols here from host 200.5.5.5, that's our administrator that's sitting down here, to host 10.0.1.1, that is the IP address on our serial 000 interface up here on R1. So any host from our any traffic from our administrator going to our router, we're going to allow that equals 22, that would be SSH at that point in time, any syslog information or any SNMP information to go from there into our device. If you like this episode on mitigating attacks with access control lists and you get value out of it, and depending upon the platform you're using, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. Doing this supports the channel in turn, which helps me bring you more great content. Click that notification bell to turn on notifications to be alerted every time I release a new episode, and there are quite a few episodes coming your way. You can also visit my website at KevTechify.com for all of my details and how to get these episodes in video and podcast form. Both ICMP echo and ICMP redirect messages should be blocked inbound by the router. Several ICMP messages are recommended for proper network operation and should be allowed into the internal network. You should allow them into your network. First one here is the echo reply. This allows users to ping external hosts. So you can ping it, you can send out your echo request, and that echo reply can come back in. You should also allow source squelch into your network. This requests that the sender decreases the traffic rate of messages. And the third thing you should allow into your network is the unreachable command. This is generated for packets that are administratively denied by an ACL. So you set up an ACL somewhere in your network, you should allow that unreachable ICMP packet to go back and say, sorry, can't reach our destination. Okay, there are also several ICMP messages that are required for proper network operation, and these should be allowed to exit your network. They should be allowed to go off of your network. First here is the echo. You can think of this as the echo request. This allows users to ping external hosts. Then we have a parameter problem ICMP message you should allow to go off of your network. This informs the host of packet header problems. Packet too big, you should allow that off of your network also. This enables packet maximum transmission unit, the MTU discovery. And finally, you should allow source quench off of your network. This throttles down traffic when necessary. As a rule, you should block all other ICMP messages. We have a sample network here and a possible configuration to permit your ICMP services in and out of your network. First, what we're looking at here is inbound on S00. So inbound here on S00, we're going to set this filter. Here we're permitting the echo reply to go through. We're permitting source squelch, and we're permitting unreachable. Notice that the protocol here is all ICMP. It's not TCP, it's not UDP, it's ICMP. We're going to deny all other ICMP requests. But we also do permit all IP traffic to go through all on our 112 access list. Inbound on G00, so inbound traffic coming in here, we're going to permit our ICMP protocols again. We're going to permit the echo request. We're going to permit the parameter problem, permit the packet too big, and permit the source quench ICMP packets. We're deny anything else, and we are permitting here any IP traffic to go through. Exploitation of SNMP vulnerabilities, simple network management protocol vulnerabilities, can be mitigated by applying interface ACLs to filter SNMP packets from non-authorized systems. These security measures are helpful but the most effective means of exploitation prevention is to disable SNMP server on the devices for which it's not required. Just disable that SNMP service. You could set up ACLs to permit stuff through there. So if you needed SNMP to run, you could set up an ACL to allow certain traffic going from and to hosts like that using an extended ACL. But the best way to prevent it is if you don't need it, turn it off. How you do that is in global configuration mode, simply type in no SNMP-server. It turns off that SNMP service. It disables it. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on mitigating attacks with access control lists. If you like this episode and you got value out of it, and of course, depending upon what platform you're using, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All of my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com, and you can get all of these episodes in video and podcast form. In the upper right is my playlist for my series on network security. In the bottom right is one of my favorite videos that I picked just for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on network security. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.